Hello, Tom. Good to have you on the call today.
Hey, William. It's a pleasure to be here. It's always a good thing to sit and chat with you.
Just in case there's anybody out there that doesn't know who Tom Nicoli is, Tom Nicoli has been a big name on the hypnosis scene for a long time. I first became aware of Tom back in 2003 when he was on the NBC Dateline, and Tom was featured because they had this weight loss challenge, and all these people were going to go back to their high school reunion, and one person chose to use a hypnotist. And fortunately for all of us in the hypnosis community, they chose Tom Nicoli. The gentleman went in, immediately lost a lot of weight. It was all over national television. And places in the back country like Springfield, Illinois, where I practice, people were watching Dateline, and they'd turn to their wife and say, "Honey, don't we have a hypnosis clinic in our town?" And they'd come see me. And I told Tom at NGH convention that year in 2003 that he probably, by being on Dateline, made me an extra $50,000 this year. So thank you, Tom.
Well, you're welcome. And you know the cool part about that, the 6 people that they had were going to 6 different approaches to lose weight, quote unquote, right?
Right.
And when they gave me the pastry chef, I asked the producer if they were stacking the deck. And she said, actually, 5 of the 6 wanted to use hypnosis.
Oh.
Right. So it was a wonderful sign and indication that people are more open to the process now.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes, absolutely. And, of course, I loved it that when he lost all the weight, then his wife came in to see, and she quit smoking.
Right. And they showed the 2 of them laying on couches at the same time, listening to, at that time, a cassette session, you know?
Oh, yeah. I was your biggest cheerleader. And that was when I decided to take a class with you, because you were teaching a one-day class at the Nashville Hypnotist Post-Conference. And so I took your class. I had some of the members of my staff take your class, and we all really loved it. I mean, you really know how to make hypnosis work, and not only in habit control, weight, and smoking, but in other areas too. And that's one reason I was so excited to get you to come to the Heartland Hypnosis Conference, which is really the reason for our call today, because I'm the host in St. Louis, Missouri, April 28, 29, and 30 for the Heartland Hypnosis Conference, although you're going to also be teaching on May 1st at the post-conference, right?
Correct. And what year is this now that you've done this, William?
This is our 3rd year, and we've grown every year, and it's really started out as a regional conference, but last year it became international because we had someone come from Australia, and this year they're coming back from Australia to speak, and then I've got a medical doctor coming from New Zealand to speak. So we've got people from 5 different countries coming to present, and we've also got attendees from all over the United States and Canada.
That's fantastic. And I'm glad to be able to join it this year, you know. I appreciate the fact you've invited me each time. And, well, with the trials and tribulations, you know, these, I call them stumbles on my journey about my eye and the Bell's palsy that happened. And, well, I'm back. I'm finally back into full form, even though I have some limitations, though I don't allow that to affect me. And it's going to be fantastic. I really look forward to being part of this really, really packed weekend, and even post and pre information packed and fun as well. You know, those of us who are gathered, and I know a lot of those people that are presenting, we also have fun as we learn. You know, we know how to make that balance without being ridiculous, but not to make it serious and too overloading and boring, because, you know, it's edutainment, right?
Yes. It's a really fun conference. On Friday night, we have I call it eat and greet. We provide kind of a light meal with salads and good foods, and we have a lot of time for people to gather and get to know each other on Friday night. And then every day we have lunch together. We have a really nice kind of Panera Bread lunch come in with really nice sandwiches, and if somebody's vegetarian, if they'll let us know, we can make accommodations there. And that way, you don't just get to hear the presenters, you can actually talk to the presenters. And I know on the stage hypnosis side, several of the stage hypnotists have gotten to know some pretty big stage hypnotists and have actually wound up getting shows from that. For example, last year, Brian Gilbert out of Chicago, who's a very good stage hypnotist, he got to do a stage show at North Texas State University because Salish, one of our star presenters, was unable to go, and he gave him Brian's name, and they hired him. So there's a lot of good networking that comes out of that, a lot of good networking.
Well, as we know from other conventions, you know, I've said to people, some of the best stuff I've shared were when people took notes on a bar napkin. You know, just hanging around, whether you're having a juice or a drink or whatever you're doing. But it's when we're able to freely and openly discuss without the format of the presentation. And those of us who have experience and have success in our careers are able to share freely and openly stuff that people would never learn otherwise.
Oh, that's so true. That's so true. And yet there is something to be said for having people like you come in who have done well, and you paid attention to what you're doing and what works and what doesn't work, and then being open enough and willing to share it. You know, unlike a lot of these professions where they're kind of wanting to keep the secrets to themselves, you know, the people that come to the conference, we share openly. And you know, a lot of stage hypnotists says, why would I want to come and tell someone about all my shows? They might steal them from me. I said, look, if you think it doesn't help everybody else, when your boat rises, when the tide rises, everybody's boat rises. And when you did well on Dateline back 2003, it helped me in Springfield, Illinois. It helped everybody in the country, helped anyone anywhere that knew about hypnosis and were aware of what you were doing.
It was actually insane. I remember that year when I was at the Sheraton Tara in Nashua, and it is a long hallway, and
Yes.
people were lined up, and I couldn't believe they stood in line this long to meet me and thank me just for doing my work. And I'd say I stood there for almost 2 hours. And finally, I just said, folks, I got a break. I need to move on here. But it was another blessing in my life where I got to do what I do, but because I did what I did and had the success with that pastry chef, that it allowed the profession more recognition, the people in it to boom their business. And I believe that if you don't give, you don't get. And that whole working like this, you know, is very, very limited. And that energetic emission of how you go about things is coming back at you. So the universe treats you the same way. It doesn't give you the secrets. So I believe that anybody who thinks they're giving up something that's so secretive and so powerful, we're not that brilliant and that genius about what we do. Because if somebody came up with a skit on stage or a technique in the office, somebody else is able to think of it as well. And why not share it? Because if I'm able to help people in practice learn something that helps them help their clients even better, then indirectly I'm helping more people, right?
Oh, absolutely.
It's their clients, but so what? And if we're looking at the big picture, we're looking at universal perception, then I can't understand ever living or thinking or acting in that limited mindset. It just doesn't work.
You know, a lot of people say, why don't you just do the conference online? Because everybody can do so much on the internet now. But the truth is, like you mentioned earlier, when we get together, you get a sense not only of the technique, but also the kind of manner and the style of the person. You get to know the person, you make friendships, you build relationships. And just like I met you back in 2003, you've been a friend of mine since 2003. And part of the reason you've been my friend is you didn't let it go to your head. You were getting a lot of notoriety, getting a lot of success. But I remember saying to you, I said, I was so glad it was you, Tom, that Dateline called. And you said, oh, anybody would have done that. And I said, no, that's not true. I'm really glad they called you.
I remember that conversation, yeah. Well, you know, I learned this as a musician. When I was the 15-year-old kid who wasn't driving yet, and I was playing the club circuit with guys in their 20s and early 30s, and I was, you know, this hot teenage guitar player, I learned very quickly that there are, maybe you're better than some people at what you do, but there are people who will blow your doors off.
Yes.
So keep yourself in check, you know. So I believe you have to have a mountain of confidence, but an equal amount of humility in order to create this balance. We're all amazing. We're all unique. We're all brilliant in our own way, but we're not that special all in all, right?
Yes.
Even though we're very special.
And one thing I've enjoyed about the little conference we have, because we're not a big conference, we don't have 1,000 people. We have a couple hundred people come to our conference. So there's a lot of chance for interaction with people. But all the big time hypnotists, and like Salish, he won College Entertainer of the Year last year, 2016. But when he walked in the first year at our conference, you know, he was a rock star, but he's so humble. Everybody checks their ego at the door. We're all good. We all have our talents. We all have our abilities. And we're just sharing. And the sharing is really what creates the excitement, because you give me an idea and I think about it and I come back, what about this? And pretty soon something new comes out of it that's really good. But I'm excited you're going to be here, because you're one of those guys that you really have that ability to work in several different areas. What kind of things you're going to be talking about at the conference this year?
Well, you're right. You know, the several different areas, a lot of people just know me as being kind of mainstream and conservative in my work, but I'm about as far out as you can get sometimes, you know. The spiritual side of things, the energetic, universal way of looking at things, which could be thought as spirituality or maybe metaphysics or quantum physics based, all the same stuff, just different language. Practical stuff of business. I mean, the beauty, and I know this, like sometimes we could say things because it's just fact. I'm a guy who went from bankruptcy, and my first office was 8 feet by 8 feet. Dateline filmed in that office. And I was driving a 13-year-old Ford Escort. I mean, about as minimal as you can get. And yet, people in 75 countries now use something that I've created. And I've, you know, been blessed to have really, really solid success. And the one day that I'm doing is everything you need to know to put together programs and how to promote and even how to work with clients. And you've been in some of my classes, and I put as much as I possibly can. And if you're not overwhelmed, I don't feel like I delivered, because I like to over-deliver. And I know that one day whatever's in there is going to come up when you need it. Even if I don't get credit for it, who cares? As long as you learned it. So I know what it's like to go to seminars and workshops and walk out going, it's all right, or I learned a couple things. I want to blow your mind. And fortunately, in my almost 20-year career now, I have enough to blow your mind.
Yes, so, I can speak to that personally. I had you come speak in St. Louis. I think that was like 2011, maybe 2011.
Yeah, somewhere
around there. And you had this one volunteer come out of the crowd who was a new stage hypnotist, and you just put him down deep and fast. You remember that? Yeah. Really deep and fast. Well, anyway, he saw you were presenting this year at Heartland, and he hasn't been to Heartland yet. He hasn't been to Heartland, but he's coming this year.
All right. Good.
But on the spiritual side too, as an ordained minister, I can attest that right after your accident, it was so terrible, I called you up and we had a good conversation. But I was so impressed with the fact that you were optimistic and positive and feeling like the Lord, the God, was going to somehow bring good out of this bad situation. And for anybody that doesn't know you personally, I can tell them you have that spiritual viewpoint that gives meaning and strength when we need it the most.
Thank you. Yeah, I believe all these things that happen to us have meaning, and you need to look for the lesson, or you know, the plus, the blessing that's all around it. You know, like I said, when I got mastervisionary.com, which is all about coaching, life coaching and personal development, transformational coaching, that with less sight, I will have more vision. And I wrote a list of blessings when I had my eye accident. For people who don't know, it was 4 years ago, a week ago, it was 4 years ago. I was here playing some music at home and turned quickly holding a wine glass. And when I fell, it shattered. And it was my second glass of wine. It shattered, and the stem went through my eye and almost into my brain. And so much so that my belief system is strong that when the doctor said, look, we have to operate, but we have to talk. You're not going to see out of that eye. And I said, okay. He said, you'll drive legally, and people with one eye can fly planes. And I said, really? That's great. And he said, why is that great? I said, because I can't fly one now. And he said, you know what? You're going to be all right. And that's how I was with it. Has it have limitations? Was it a real difficult, challenging journey at first, for the first up to 6 months? Oh, yeah. And still has its challenges. But you know what? So what? I mean, really, so what? And I say that these stumbles on my path, they've given me the opportunity to walk my talk. So these stumbles allow me to soar higher so I can continue to inspire. Because I truly believe that the work I do, I'm meant to do. You know, this isn't something I was seeking and manipulated. I found this by being aligned, by being directed. And I know I'm meant to do this work. I'm supposed to do it. And what better way of being the personification of your work by having these challenges and then dealing with them appropriately?
Oh, I think that your coaching business is very good. I personally took your coaching several years ago. It was a great benefit to me.
That's right. We did 3 months. I remember that.
That's right. And one thing I'll say is that phrase, always giving more than expected, really does typify what you do, because we'd even go longer on the calls. You'd give me more time, more information. And I was always just so grateful how much extra you were giving me, more than what we contracted for. And
and guess what? That's not by mistake, right? We all get aligned. I've learned that you don't chase anything in life. I was brought up believing that's how you did it.
Mm-hmm.
That when you do what you need to do from the inside out, life's an inside job, then you are aligned with whomever and whatever you're supposed to be aligned with. You attract into your life. And this is what's going to happen at the HHC, the Heartland Hypnosis Conference. I know that there are a lot of people there who do the same thing. They give, they share, they're decent, they're open. And there's going to be a lot of interaction for everybody that shows up. And I'm urging everyone to go. I'm so glad that I'm able to align my schedule with the schedule for the HHC and get down there and finally be a part of it. And I can see that it's blossoming and it's really gaining momentum. And there's good reason for that. And it's because of the approach you take. It's like right now the Patriots are having their parade in Boston.
Right.
That team is where they are because the coach has this group mentality, no single rock stars, and that comes from the ownership.
Right.
So when the people at the head of something have a certain attitude, that attitude just trickles down into the whole event or project, right? Or
right.
team. And because of the fact that you've assembled this and it's coming from your point of view, the whole energy around it, that's why I believe you're attracting who you are for the presenters. So it will be this type of event where people can come, and it isn't about how many, it's about quantity, not quality, right? Who cares if there are a couple hundred people in so many classes rather than 10 times? More doesn't mean better. I'll filter this, but as Dennis Miller, the comedian, once said when he was buying a suit from Sears, the guy says, yeah, but you get 2 pair of pants. He says, well, 2 of crap is still crap.
Well said. Well, the other thing that's happened is, you and I have been on the scene for a little while now. We were once the young guys coming up, and now we're kind of the established guys. But there's a whole group out there who have been trained and have started their practice since 2003 that they don't even know all this. And so it's like Larry Grant's going to be there, one of the old masters of Chicago. He's really the dean of Chicago hypnotists. But one of the guys in St. Louis that does stage hypnosis shows for me, he's a young guy. He's been practicing about 4 years. He didn't even know who Larry Garrett was.
Right.
But we've got a lot of new talents, kind of new speakers, people that you've never heard before. And for example, the medical doctor coming from New Zealand speaking, the lady from Australia, Helen Midas, she's outstanding. But you and Helen are gonna, and Lorella as the medical doctor are gonna run into each other, because you're not only speaking on clinical hypnosis, you're also talking on the business hypnosis, right?
Correct.
And so they're also both going to be in the business and in the clinical side. So you'll do a lot of intersecting there, a lot of intersecting. And
yeah, for those who don't know, I was kind of thrown into the fire. I didn't know about business at all. I'm a blue-collar, triple-decker kid from the Boston area, like Good Will Hunting, like that movie.
Right.
So all I knew is you work more, you got paid more, which is a horrible model. And when I cut back, I had about 100 people a week come through the office. And I've gone from that to getting rid of my 2 offices. I'm home right now. This is where I live. This is where I work. I do sessions here at the home or via Skype. And I've got things to share with people that will change their learning curve tremendously about how to go about the business and how you put together these different programs and ways of going about your business with this new world we live in. It is, they say it's not your father's NFL. Well, it is not your father's business model either. There's a whole better way to do things. And there's so many things people in our profession, as you know, don't even realize or think about to create these multiple streams of income under the umbrella of hypnotism.
Yes.
Instead of just pounding out sessions, that's still a job.
Yes.
Nice.
Well, that was one of the reasons I had you coaching me. You'll be proud to hear I have 2 online sessions scheduled today. So
excellent.
Both East Coast people. So anyway, we're kind of fun. But I'm excited, that you're going to be doing the post-conference on May 1st. The conference is actually April 28, 29, 30. So if they're going to make their plane reservations into St. Louis, you don't have to rent a car. The hotel is very close to the airport. We have a free shuttle, goes back and forth all day and all night long. And it's going to be just a fantastic conference. The hotel is very inexpensive. It's only $79.
Is it the one that I was at before?
Huh?
Is it that one that we taught at before together?
The same hotel. Same hotel.
Nice location. There's even a casino not far.
That's right.
You want to go out and get entertained at night?
Yeah, actually, there's two casinos within 2 miles.
Right. I remember Michelle had come down and Madison, and we had gone to the piano bar, watching the guys sing songs and play the piano. And you don't have to go to gamble. You can go have fun, So there's stuff to do in the general area, and it's not that far from the airport. Yeah, I remember that well.
Right. Saturday night, a lot of the people are going to go to dinner together at one of these Japanese steakhouses, and it's really fun. We did it last year, and we're going to actually formalize it this year. We're making reservations, so anybody can come that wants to for the conference. And then some people on Saturday night are going to go watch some of the stage hypnotists do some after proms at these high schools. They'll be up a big part of the night, and but it's really going to be a great conference. We got some incredible things happening, but the main thing is to get everybody there, because you can do it online, and that's great. But there's something about having those personal relationships, those personal conversations in the hall, in the lunch area, at night after dinner, like say at the bar, writing that on the napkin.
You can't replace that. And
No.
I urge everyone, and most people listening right now and watching, they probably already know that this is something that they want and should do. It's reasonable. I mean, you've made it about as reasonable as possible. It's convenient. It's in a really nice area. There's a lot to offer there in St. Louis. The intimacy. I mean, it's a huge part. Like, folks, you can go to a big convention, which we participate in as well. I mean, God knows that the NGH and the NGH convention is pretty much my mainstay, But it's a little more challenging to try to corner some people and get a conversation when they've got maybe hundreds of people, getting them after classes and between classes because of, our blessing and notoriety. But when you have such a smaller group, which still, I mean, we're talking a couple hundred, a few hundred. Right. It's not a small group, but it's smaller, but yet small enough where you can actually get some time with people. You can actually feel like you can share enough time with somebody instead of having to cut it short because you have so many to talk to. So anyone that's entertaining where they should go, what they should do, this is a really, really comfortable, kind of like it's quaint,
Right.
It's like a nice visit.
Right.
Rather than a hectic, busy, big conference. And I know what that's like. I just got done doing 2 3-hour workshops and was on one of 5 people on the expert panel on alternative pain management techniques at the Yankee Dental Congress in Boston, and there are 15,000 people.
Wow.
Oh, yeah. And after my workshops, there were so many people, and they were sold out. And I had so many people want to talk to me, I couldn't give the amount of time I wanted to each person. But this is going to be different. And those people who really want to learn, I think you can learn a real lot in a short amount of time because of the way you've set it up. And if you would quickly just explain to these people what these 4 tracks are, because I had to wrap my head around that as well.
Well, I'd gone to a lot of conferences, and I always was frustrated. They'd have Tom Nicoli and somebody like Larry Garrett and some other really good clinical people all at the same time, and you had to choose.
Yeah.
So we arranged it by track. So all the clinical classes are in one room. And for 3 days, if you have no other concern other than clinical, you can sit in that room and just learn clinical. In another room, it's all stage hypnosis. In another room, it's all the business, how to build your business, how to build your practice in hypnosis. And then the final room is we've added metaphysical uses of hypnosis. And that's where you're using hypnosis for something maybe you couldn't get continuing education units for with a psychologist,
right.
But it's still a valid use of hypnosis, more of a spiritual emphasis. So we have all the people in the clinical track on Friday can get mental health continuing education units. If you're a master's level counselor, you're a psychologist, social worker, you can get continuing education units on Friday. And then Saturday and Sunday, those classes will continue. But we're only giving the continuing education units for mental health providers on Friday, because what we found is they come on Friday for the CEs and they stay Saturday and Sunday for the teaching.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And then that way we can have people who whether they have a degree or not, but have something to say, they can teach. They can teach. And so Same thing with the stage hypnotist. It's also, as a matter of fact, it's hard to get the stage hypnotist out of the room because it's like trying to cram a bunch of clowns into a small car. they're funny people. They're a lot of fun.
Right.
And they're not the stage hypnotists that have the huge egos. I'm the greatest. They're the ones who are all willing to share and everything. Mm-hmm. And of course, the metaphysical people, they are the kindest, nicest people in the world. They're very spiritual, and they're talking about spiritual use of hypnosis. And of course, when you get to the business track is, hey, you really like to do this, you got to be able to make some money. And here's how you do it ethically, and here's how you do it in a way that builds value for your business. And those are good classes.
And there's this whole warped mindset of holistic people and money, right?
Right.
And please, everyone, remember, it's the love of money that's the root of all evil. Greed. Right. Money's a beautiful, wonderful thing. And remember Henry Leo Bolduc, when he was alive, and he was one of the nicest men, and he was just so sweet, And one time we were having this conversation at the NGH convention, and I looked at him and I said, hey, Henry, what do you think about somebody who makes a lot of money doing what we do? He said, seems pretty simple to me, Tom. It means you're helping more people. And I've told people, I've done more free sessions in a year than some people have gotten paid for. But because I get paid, I can do that and be of charitable service whenever I choose to. And I know not only myself and yourself, but people who are speaking about business, they're not just talking theory. These are people who don't need to be there. These are people who can take 2-3 weeks off if they feel like it at any time and change their schedule around. It's like Sean Brookhouse once said when we were on a panel at the Solid Gold, none of us up here are worried about our mortgage.
Right.
So you have people that actually are living it and doing it, and that's what we share, what we're still doing, what we've done that works and what we're still doing that works, so people can have a lot to choose from and then go apply whatever they learn and see how it works for them.
Exactly. Find someone who's doing it well and go follow that person and find out what they're doing, and then model it.
Success leaves footprints.
Yeah, model it. That's good. Well, hey, Tom, it's the Heartland Hypnosis Conference, April 28th through 30. Your post-conference is going to be May 1st. All they have to do to register is go to your link, which is heartlandhypnosisconference.com, and they can register and just have them follow your link that you'll send them, and that'll get them to the website. But there's really some tremendous presenters that I promise you haven't heard before. Now, we've got Tom Nicoli, and he's well known, but we got some people out there that nobody's heard of, but you're going to be so glad you got to meet and you got to hear.
Another reason why I like to attend, it's like I had been on tour with a rock band in the 80s, and I did the whole life, And I remember when I got back into real life and I was giving guitar lessons for a while, this kid only played for about 6 months. And I listened to something he played, and I asked him, hey, can I cop that? He went, really? I said, hey, you learn from everybody. So I'm really looking forward to sitting with the people I've never heard of, because the people you hear of, well, you get to hear them a lot, right? They're out there, they're known. But those who you haven't heard of, sometimes they come with some magic, man. And that's what I look forward to. So everybody, do your best. Go take a look. Go to heartlandhypnosisconference.com. Take a look at what's going on. They can, I'm open to be contacted. Anyone can email tomnicoli@gmail.com. And I'd be sharing anything that they want me to share, any questions they may have. I'd be glad to talk to anybody that way. And I really look forward to this, Wayne. I'm so glad that you kept me in the loop and invited me.
Oh, I'm honored that you accepted our invitation. I've been working on you for a while.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much. It's been a great call today.
All right. Well, you can take care, and I hope to see you all there. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye now.